As Pakistan walks a dangerous line between Washington and Tehran, a pro-Iran cleric openly warned Trump against even setting foot in Islamabad. Pakistani scholar brands Trump a wretched person and false messiah. Does this reflect a wider mood that could complicate US-Pakistan diplomacy? Pakistan playing a risky double game as Interior Minister praises Trump's ceasefire diplomacy while a powerful Shia cleric tears into him from the pulpit? US and Pakistani officials met in Islamabad as the Iran ceasefire talks remain stalled and the truce hangs in the balance. A prominent Pakistani Shia scholar warned against Trump's potential visit to Islamabad, cautioning the government about hosting the US president amid the Iran war. Maulana Syed Jawad Naqvi, who heads the Lahore-based seminary Jamia Ul Waska, issued the warning in a recent address, speaking under the banner of Tehreek Bedari Ummati Mustafa. Describing Trump as a wretched person, Naqvi urged the Pakistani government not to facilitate the visit, arguing Islamabad should not provide face-saving to Washington. The cleric pointed to widespread international opposition to Trump in the wake of the Iran war, saying the US president is isolated and under internal and external pressure. The cleric said, quote, "It is not an honor for Trump to come to Pakistan. He is a wretched person, a false messiah, and a sinner. Europe, NATO, and even the US itself curse Trump. Pakistan should not make him a hero. He should not be able to stand tall against Pakistan, Iran, or the Islamic Ummah. Pakistan has gained this opportunity. We pray that God gives Pakistan's leaders the courage not to make mistakes and not to try to make Trump successful in these negotiations. They should not try to satisfy or please him." Unquote. The cleric's remarks came amid reports that Trump could personally travel to Pakistan if the diplomatic track with Tehran shows progress. According to these reports, the visit would take place only if a deal is reached in the nuclear talks between Iran and the United States, in which Islamabad is acting as mediator. However, the talks have now hit a deadlock, with Iran accusing the US of maintaining a naval blockade in the Strait of Hormuz and dragging its feet on concessions, stalling further progress. Trump nevertheless said that a renewed round of peace talks is possible very soon, the New York Post reported, signaling he still sees a window for negotiations. The report added that the negotiations could happen in the next 36 to 72 hours, based on US expectations shared on April 22. This came as Pakistan's Interior Minister met US Ambassador Natalie Baker on April 23, amid intensified shuttle diplomacy over a second round of talks. The two discussed diplomatic efforts to convene a second round of US-Iran talks in Islamabad, keeping Pakistan's role as host and mediator on the table. Maulana Naqvi also publicly commended Trump's initiative to extend the ceasefire with Iran, presenting Pakistan as supportive of de-escalation moves. He said Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Army Chief Asim Munir are making all-out efforts to resolve the issue through dialogue, highlighting close coordination between Pakistan's civilian and military leadership. This comes after a US delegation suspended its planned April 22 visit to Pakistan when Iran refused to confirm participation in the talks, leaving the Islamabad track on hold. Iran's foreign ministry had earlier said the US insists on some unreasonable, unrealistic positions, blaming Washington's demands for the current impasse. Indeed, we were steadfast in the negotiation process because we know what matters are our focus and what matters we cannot accept. Some matters, we clearly said from the beginning, are not acceptable to us, and insisting on them, by the US, will not change our positions. I think our positions are very reasonable and fair. Unfortunately, the United States has a hard time learning from past experiences. The United States insists on some unreasonable and unrealistic positions. Regarding the incident, the targeting of Indian vessels, that you referred to, our relevant authorities are currently reviewing whether it was indeed carried out by our forces. The incident is under investigation. We are still in a state of war. It is true that a ceasefire has been announced, but unfortunately it has been met from the very beginning with repeated violations by the United States, and the announcement that Iran's ports and vessels will be targeted by the United States has complicated the situation. Until such a situation exists, we cannot speak unilaterally about the normalization of traffic in the Strait of Hormuz. Earlier, reports said the US had given Tehran 3 to 5 days to respond to a permanent ceasefire proposal, tying future diplomacy to a rapid Iranian answer. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told reporters that President Donald Trump has not set a hard deadline and that the timing of Iran's response would be flexible. Leavitt noted that Trump has shown a bit of flexibility by extending the ceasefire, allowing Iran more time to weigh the US offer without an immediate hard cutoff. She explained that this flexibility is intended to give Iran's leadership space to deliver a unified response, rather than a fragmented or internally contested position. The White House said that the ongoing negotiations with Tehran are focused strictly on Iran's nuclear program, distancing the process from broader regime-level demands. US officials have outlined clear red lines, including preventing Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon and securing the transfer of its enriched uranium stockpile as part of any agreement. Iran, however, has instead proposed to downblend its enriched uranium rather than hand it over to the United States, offering a compromise that would reduce enrichment levels without full physical transfer. Meanwhile, conflicting reports continue to circulate about internal divisions within Iran's leadership, with US officials suggesting that the political and military wings are not fully aligned. US officials told Axios that there is a clear disconnect between the civilian-led negotiation team and Iran's military and security leadership, creating a fragmented decision-making environment. Anonymous US officials said, and I quote, "We saw that there is an absolute fracture inside Iran between the negotiators and the military, with neither side having access to the supreme leader, who is not responsive." Unquote. Meanwhile, Tehran has rejected the current model of US pressure and has not yet committed to a concrete timeline for resuming diplomacy on Washington's terms. Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian has said that the US naval blockade is the main obstacle to genuine negotiations, arguing that talks cannot proceed while Iran's ports remain under siege. Iran's parliament speaker and lead negotiator, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, has also insisted that pressure-based tactics will not work, warning that coercion alone will not bend Iran's negotiating posture.
Great questions, and I will answer them. Let's level set on where we are. As you all saw yesterday, President Trump announced an extension of the ceasefire. He's maintaining and generously offering a bit of flexibility to a regime who has been completely tarnished because of Operation Epic Fury. There's obviously a lot of internal division. This is a battle between the pragmatists and the hardliners in Iran right now, and the president wants a unified response. And so as we await that response, there's a ceasefire with the military and kinetic strikes. But Operation Economic Fury continues, and the effective and successful naval blockade continues as well of ships and vessels that are moving to and from Iranian ports. We are completely strangling their economy through this blockade. They're losing $500 million a day. The Karg Island is completely full. They can't move oil in and out. They can't even pay their own people as a result of this economic leverage that President Trump has inflicted over them. So he's satisfied with that as we await their response, and we will see. The president has not set a firm deadline to receive an Iranian proposal, unlike some of the reporting I've seen today. Ultimately, the timeline will be dictated by the commander-in-chief and the president of the United States. Well, we obviously know who we're negotiating with because our negotiating team has sat down with those individuals in person, but obviously there's a lot of internal fraction and internal division, which again just proves the effectiveness of Operation Epic Fury in the first place. You know, there's been some anonymous sourced reporting that there was maybe a 3 to 5 day deadline. That is not true. The president has not set a deadline himself. Ultimately, he will dictate the timetable.